तो वी आर लाइव नाउ मैम एंड शरद नायक साहब। तो अभी हम
Yes,
जो बात करेंगे दैट दैट विल बी ऑन लाइव ना।
right.
जी। So we are starting now. Sharma ji, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So we will start now. Good morning, and I welcome all to this uh, fifth lecture of our webinar internship series 2. And today's lecture is on earthquakes and its effect on rural structures. And speaker is Honorable Dr. Archana Dongre, and she is head of department, the North Cape University, Gurgaon. And this webinar series is being organized by Wonder Cement and Acropolis College, Indore. So I will start with a brief of our group and company. Wonder Cement Limited. Wonder Cement Limited belongs to RK Group. The RK Group started their business journey in 1989 from marble business, and the group's corporate culture is built on the values of quality, trust, and transparency. And we have got our name listed in Guinness Book of World Record as well for the world largest marble producer. And Wonder Cement is committed towards the providing quality product to consumer, and it's known for its reliability and the consistency in the quality of products and services. Our plant was established in technical collaboration with ThyssenKrupp and Pfeffer Limited, which is a German company, the world leader in cement manufacturing technology provider. And we have expanded our capacity to 12 million ton per annum by setting up a third production line at Nimbahera and split grinding units at Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, Badnavar. The grinding unit of Badnavar was recently inaugurated in January, and we are expected to have one more grinding unit in Haryana, Jhajjar, this year in 2020. So we are the fastest growing cement company in the country, and reason behind I will give you in 2-3 slides. You will understand how what's making us the fastest growing cement company. The ultra modern cement manufacturing technology with superior quality raw materials, which is the main reason for enabling us in providing consistent quality products. And we have got very good limestone mines, cross belt, many technologies in India we have introduced first time in India, and many we are seen as a technology innovator in cement manufacturing technology, and a few of them I will mention here. We have adopted CBA and CNA technology, which is first time in India. Am I audible, Sharma ji?
Yes, yes.
Audible.
हाँ, बिल्कुल audible हो.
And then robotic lab, this unique feature sets us apart from all the competitors, all the cement manufacturers in the country. All the QA and quality control and quality assurance system of our cement manufacturing units are controlled by this robotic lab, and because of this robotic lab, we are able to produce a consistent cement quality. Quality control system. Is it echoing somewhere from somewhere? Quality control system. We have got closed circuit grinding technology also, which is enabling us in providing a very good and the best kind of particle size distribution in our cement. And the 330 micron size cement particles, which are known as the best cement particle in the cement, we are having the highest percentage of those in our cement. And all of our laboratories are NABL and ISO certified, so that make us reliable for our cement consumers. So with this, I am thankful, and I welcome once again and congratulate Acropolis and all the participants. And we are going to have a very wonderful session. Now I hand over to Mr. Sharad Nayak sir to please introduce today's speaker.
Thank you, Pradyuman Sharma, sir. Good morning and a warm welcome to all. Respected Chairman BOG Sri Ashok Sujatia, sir. Dignitaries of Management of Acropolis Group of Institute, and Dr. S.K. Sharma, sir, Head Civil Engineering Department. Also welcome to Engineer Hitesh Mogra, sir, National Head Technical Wonder Cement Limited, and Engineer Pradyuman Sharma, Technical MP Region from Wonder Cement Limited, and his team. My fellow colleagues, आज हमारे इस पूरे वेबिनार को सफल बनाने में जिसका बड़ा साथ और सहयोग रहा है, जिन्होंने टीम के साथ रात दिन मिलकर टाइम पर कोऑर्डिनेशन किया है, वो हमारे एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर जयंत अवस्थी सर का बर्थडे है। हम उनको आप सभी की ओर से बधाई और शुभकामनाएं देते हैं। ईश्वर उनको स्वस्थ एवं दीर्घायु रखे, ऐसी प्रार्थना करते हैं। Again, welcome to all participants from various universities, institute, professionals, and students on day 5th of the webinar series organized by Civil Engineering, Acropolis Institute of Technology and Research, Indore, in association with Wonder Cement Limited. Today's topic is effect on ruler structures and will be presented by Archana Dongre ma'am, Head of the Department, the North Cap University, Gurgaon, Haryana. It is very wonderful topic, and she will doing a work on rural area, because normally for earthquake, so many consultants and researchers are doing on urban areas. So this is new for us also. It's my privilege to introduce about our honorable speaker to Archana Dongre ma'am, with a vast teaching experience of more than 18 years. She did bachelor's degree in civil engineering from MHSSCE Mumbai University and integrated master and PhD from IIIT Hyderabad. She published number of applications in national and international journals and conferences. Her expertise is in the field of structural engineering, earthquake engineering, and brick masonry building structures health monitoring. She worked as a professor and head of the Department of Civil Engineering at Vidya Jyoti Institute of Technology, Hyderabad, and was facilitated twice as the best professor and HOD. She has excellent command to develop new lab setup in various fields of civil engineering. She has number of feathers in her cap, like 2 best papers award in international conference at Malaysia and Indonesia, number of research papers presented in earthquake engineering on global platform, number of students pursuing master and PhD under her guidance. She is a member of various professional bodies like MIE, USA, ICI, ASC, NIC, and many more. I request to all participants, if you have any questions during the presentation, please do type them into the question box or in the chat box, which is in the app itself. At the end of the presentation, Honorable Speaker Madam would be solving your queries accordingly. Now I invite Dr. Archana Dongre ma'am to please take over the session and sharing her knowledge on today's webinar. कहते हैं जब जेब में क्यों रखते हो खुशियों के पल, कहते हैं जेब में क्यों रखते हो खुशियों के पल, बांट दो न गिरने का डर और न चोरी का। ऐसे ही कुछ ज्ञान के पल बांटने हमारे बीच गुड़गांव हरियाणा से हमारे निवेदन पर आज वेबिनार में आई डॉक्टर अर्चना मैम। प्लीज मैडम, ओवर टू मैडम।
Thank you, sir. That was a wonderful introduction, and I think आपने बहुत ज़्यादा बोल दिया है. I am a very simple person, and आपने बहुत ही बड़े-बड़े words बोले हैं, but I am really humbled and honored, and I'm so thankful to Acropolis Institute of Technology and Wonder Cement for giving me this opportunity to present my work here. And I trust that whatever next some minutes, 1 hour, or maybe more than that, I'm going to spend. I hope that it goes to the relevant audience in a really positive way. So thanks for giving me this time, and I will start with my presentation. And yes, before that, I just want to wish happy birthday to Jayant Avasthi sir. And thank you, sir. I will start with my presentation now. Yeah, I have chosen this topic, earthquake and its effects on rural structures. Uh, Actually, this was part of my PhD research area, and basically my work was on brick masonry structures, and I'm really thankful to my guide, Mr. Ramanchala Pradeep Kumar, who guided me very well, and it was really encouraging to get even guidance from Professor CBR Murthy sir, who is with IIT Kanpur, and then IIT Madras, and many more people associated with this success. I will not directly jump to the topic. I just want to connect how we are really connected. Are these earthquakes are really connected with us somehow, and are we responsible for this, or is there is some issue that is causing this trouble in our life, what we are facing currently? So I just want to start with a very basic. Yes, we all are aware that this whole earth, it's made up of 5 elements. It's a earth element, water element, fire element, air element, and sky element. It's there in the earth, and it's there in our body also, right? There is a big connection. And if you wonder, I think our civil engineering is directly connected with these elements. We are actually working on this each and every element, and if we see that there are number of branches evolved only based on these 5 elements, if we see. So in fact, total elements are 5 only, but branches are maybe more than 10. I have in fact specified here very few, like so structural engineering, environmental engineering, water resource engineering, transportation engineering, geotechnical engineering, earthquake engineering, remote sensing and GIS. So many engineering branches, so many things are there. We are literally progressing, but then why this trouble? Why are we facing this danger of earthquake and overall imbalance? Now currently we are in lockdown situation. Somewhere we also consider, most of the people, they also consider it as a blessing to nature, because work is stopped, and the nature is getting time, they are going back to their originality. So water is getting clearer, air is getting purified. So anyways, definitely I won't say it's very good for earth, but people are suffering, and we understand, and definitely we have to do something, and we try to help the current really troublesome scenario. So coming to civil engineering students, I always ask, it's the moment we enter into civil engineering, mostly we ask what is that, whatever structure related problem mostly we solve, we go to we every equation we solve, that we try to find out what is that, basic principle we solve any problem in civil engineering, that equation of equilibrium should be satisfied. That is very important. Equilibrium has to be there. But we part of the nature. So nature and human being, when they are in harmonious existence, so there will be definitely harmony and happiness. But what is happening currently? No, current scenario, it is totally opposite. We have literally exploited Mother Earth. So this exploited Mother Earth and human beings, and now we are in questionable existence. Literally, this is the scenario we are facing, and it's actually very challenging. We are facing this, challenging future is there ahead of us. So if we do not step back and find a solution for this, uh, think over it, how we can actually uh, help in this scenario, we will be in trouble otherwise. So our India, our country, we have witnessed such a great, civilization, and we have seen how without having great techniques, there used to be great structures in our country. Nalanda University is the amazing example. Now also people are doing research on it. Then Mohenjo-daro is there. The Hampi Virupaksha temple is there. So there are many more examples. So where ancient civilization is a great example, and how they used to manage all these things. Coming to villages in India, actually, if we see, villages are the ultimate. Villages are close to nature and they are actually sustainable. Now, every now and then we see government policies. There is this sustainable is there. So actually, sustainable is the new definition of progress. But is it that because sustainable villages are sustainable means are we going to move towards the villages? No, that is not going to happen. But yes, we have to keep this in mind that villages are ultimate. Actually, they are very good examples of sustainability. Coming to our cities, it's full of concrete jungle. So you take any city in the world, like I have kept pictures over here. This is a Mexico City, then Mumbai City, full of concrete jungle, and we have utterly failed to maintain the equilibrium in the nature. Those 5 elements need to be in balance, but we have literally failed in that. Then there I have kept a few more examples of Delhi. You take it Bangalore, take it Ahmedabad, but that is the reality that 5 elements are not happy. They are not in equilibrium. Coming to this pollution, air pollution, this above picture is of concrete industry, and the below picture is steel industry. See the amount of pollution. Everyone knows, maybe I am giving a webinar now, so you are seeing this. This is the reality. But what is that action we are going to take? We have to, being civil engineers, I feel that we have to think in this line, because we are ultimate contributor to this nature, direct contributor. So other than this, there are many disasters. We see that road accidents, 400 people die per day, and you won't believe, now we are hiding in our home by this fear of coronavirus. But in road accidents, 150,000 people die per year in India. And air pollution, 12.4 lakh deaths in India. 6.1 million people die worldwide due to air pollution. And if we add the data of floods, droughts, cyclones, then the number is so huge. So what are we doing? Are we happy with the day-to-day life in these developed metro cities, which is full of concrete jungles? But yes, we are seeing our satisfaction. Our job is here. All facilities are here. And we are really happy that, okay, morning I'm getting water in my tap. Yeah, right. And if I have to go to my office or in my university, I get a cab and whatever bus or auto. And it's all whatever, days, morning to evening, continuous. My day is very good. So I'm happy with this. But I think, yes, it's our time. It's a time to wake up, and we have to bring wisdom within us. Otherwise, so we are continuously moving towards darkness. So, yes, I'm sorry that this program is sponsored by Wonder Cement, but I have to just keep this fact here that each ton of cement is responsible for approximately 1 ton of CO2 emission, and the cement industry alone contributes 7% of global CO2 emission. So this is the fact, and again I'm asking ki, does that mean that we have to move towards villages? Answer is no, we cannot do that. Obviously we cannot do that. Actually, being in city, most of the job and everything, whatever facilities, people are coming here, and in cities we don't have that scope of expanding horizontally. Like villages, there will be houses beautifully scattered all over the land, but in cities we are expanding vertically. Actually we are expanding vertically, and so there is hardly any space, but still more demand is for cities. Now so many time I'm telling cities and villages. Now let's see what is that ratio. We'll come to that. So before that, for civil engineers, I would like to say, over the last many years, the definition of civil engineering has evolved from directing the great sources of power in nature for the use of convenience of man. So that was a 1991 definition, but now civil engineers are the custodians of the built and natural environment. And this shift says that the fundamental change in the relationship between engineers and the natural world. So man and nature are not separate entities. Engineers today must design for a planet with limited natural resources, complex problems, and increasing environmental concerns. So civil engineers need to think and find solutions. Yes, this is very important slide, especially if my students are listening here. My means all civil engineers. So if you are listening here, the doctors have their code of ethics. We civil engineers also have code of ethics. So this American Society of Civil Engineers, they have given some points, which are even actually these ethical points. If we see, we have this is part of our ancient teaching also. Following morality is very important. So number one is hold safety paramount. So civil engineer need to be very careful that safety has to be there. Then service with competence. Yes, there has to be, one should be competent in his work. And issue true statements. Here I see most of the problem for whatever reason. So we are again going to come to that topic. Then civil engineer must act as a faithful agent. Yes, and then reputation by its civil engineer's reputation should be by merit. Then he or she should uphold professional honor. Then continue professional development. Nowadays, so many continuous developments are there. In fact, being in teaching line, we have to keep on reading research papers, what is happening outside. So continuous development we witness in civil engineering. And a very important point is that treat all persons fairly. So these are code of ethics for civil engineers, and one should keep it close to their heart. Coming to Mother Earth, the Mother Earth in left she is seeing the memories. You can see the left side figure, and she's seeing her photo, and now just see what we have done with the Mother Earth. And someone, I had, this is a internet source only, I have taken this picture, and it is so true. This is what happened. What is the current scenario of our Mother Earth? Right side, anyways, it was trying to show the pollution on Earth, but it is now even currently, kind of situation for the corona, that is also it's showing. So that is happening. So it's total imbalance in our Mother Earth, imbalance in 5 basic elements of Mother Earth. So when that is getting disturbed, so then corona is coming, and then it's disturbing because our equilibrium is also in questioned, challenged. So coming to earthquake, these are beautiful pictures I found. Earthquake, what anyway, I think first lecture we have started with really for this webinar series. Already most of you have been through those basics of earthquake. But I'll be in short, I'll be take you through that awareness. Now, just type in Google earthquake and you will see such screen on the Google page. what are the recent earthquakes, you know, the everywhere, because now being in this Gurgaon region, we have witnessed this earthquake just 2-3 days before. So everywhere, and in WhatsApp group we are getting ki what is happening, is there earthquake going to come? Then IIT professor, a big article, major earthquake may soon come to Delhi NCR. So what is that, you know, are we really waiting for that big disaster to happen and our building collapse? No, then what is that? Are we really, we have to see that our buildings are really earthquake proof. So my topic belongs to rural areas, so there also I'll take you. But yes, here we have to, we should not, definitely it's whenever it's going to happen, it's not in our hand. But yes, we have to check that our buildings are safe or not. If we are not able to, there are so many websites available which will tell you that your building is safe or not. So IIIT also, they have developed some software where we can see that is our building comes in a safety zone or not. How is your type of building structure? Is it not coming in a soft story effect? So we have to check many factors, and we have to really, because yes, North region is comparatively in you know, there is a risk, and we have to be careful about this. So this particular presentation is moving around what is the awareness about this whole earthquake and rural structures. Then what is its impact on society, and what is the cutting edge research? That's how I have planned it. So coming to the science behind earthquake, an earthquake is caused by a sudden slip on a fault. The tectonic plates are always slowly moving, but they get stuck at their edges due to friction. And when they have to release that, you know, stress, when the stress on the edge overcome the friction, there is an earthquake that release that energy. And when they release their energy, it releases in the form of waves. And those waves, they travel through the earth crust and cause the shaking, and that we feel, that is a earthquake. Coming to the classification of earthquake, you know, there are total 5 classifications. Classification is based on where it has originated, based on origin, I mean where it has occurred. Then based on the location, based on the focal depth, there is a based on the epicentral distance, and based on magnitude. So based on origin, there are 6 parts. Tectonic earthquakes. So tectonic earthquakes are caused due to the movement of tectonic plates, and they are generally of high intensity, tectonic earthquake. Then there is next is plutonic earthquake. So these are caused due to the deep seated movement of molten magma, and they are generally of medium intensity. Then explosions, you know, this is our contribution to earthquake. The ground shaking caused by the release of enormous nuclear energy due to the underground detonation of nuclear devices. So this is our contribution, humanity contribution for this. Then there are collapse earthquakes. There are volcanic earthquakes and reservoir induced earthquakes. So reservoir induced earthquakes are, you know, these are specially attributed to the lowering of shear strength of the rock due to increased pore pressure in the vicinity of the reservoir, that is already strained from the tectonic forces, and because of the storage of water. So this reservoir add stress contribution which triggers a slip or increased pore water pressure, and which lowers the shear strength of the fault. So like Koina earthquake is a very good example. Then based on the location. So based on location, this is what mostly we go through, you know, interplate earthquake and intraplate earthquake. So in interplate earthquake, there are 3 types, that conversion boundaries are there, divergent boundaries are there, then transform plate boundaries, and intraplate earthquake are deep slip and fault slip. So interplate earthquake are actually, those are the earthquakes occur along the active boundaries of the tectonic plates, and these plate boundaries are convergent boundaries, divergent, and transform plate boundaries. Now convergent boundaries are, these are the tectonic plate move towards each other and give rise to mountains. Then divergent boundaries, their tectonic plates separate and move away from each other, and transform plate boundaries here. Plates slide past each other. Then coming to intraplate earthquakes, such earthquakes occur within the tectonic plates due to internal rupture owing to the presence of faults in the rock strata. And these fault boundaries are of two types depending on the direction of relative displacement. So there are deep slip fault, you can see the right side figure, and strike slip fault. So in deep slip fault, here relative displacement of rock masses is vertical at the fault surface, and strike slip fault, here relative displacement of rock masses in horizontal and sideways at the fault surface. Then next type is based on the focal depth. So what is the depth? Is it the shallow depth? So mostly focal depth less than 70 kilometer, and it covers a very small area, and it is severely destructive in nature. Then there is next intermediate depth. So here this occur at a focal depth of 71 to 300 kilometers, and it covers large area, and it is very destructive in nature. And there is third type, very deep. So these occur at a focal depth of greater than 300 kilometer. They cover very large area and comparatively less destructive in nature. Then based on epicentral distance, so there are 4 local shock, near and far end earthquake, we say, a distant shock and telescopic shock. So then there are earthquakes based on magnitude. So micro earthquake, moderate earthquake, strong earthquake, major earthquake, greater earthquake, intermediate earthquake. So micro earthquake is where magnitude is less than 3. Then intermediate earthquake where magnitude ranges from 3 to 4.9. Then moderate earthquakes where magnitude ranges from 5 to 5.9. Strong earthquake 6.6 to 6.9 magnitude range. Then there is major earthquake where magnitude ranges from 7 to 7.9. And then there is magnitude greater than 8, that is great earthquake. So propagation of waves, anyway, this is already taken in first part of the series. So we are aware that there are waves, 2 types of waves, body waves and surface waves. So surface wave again categorized as low waves and relay waves. So we know that the first part, first is it is a undisturbed material, it's a simple, and then there is a primary wave. Primary wave is having very high speed. Then there is a secondary wave, third relay wave, and fourth is low wave. So 4 types of seismic waves are there. Coming to prevailing seismic hazard of the country. So if we see seismic zonation map, our map is actually divided into 4 parts. So initially there used to be 5, now there are 4 parts, and you can see yourself that you are sitting in which region. Is it seismically safe or not? So this seismic zonation map was developed in 2002, and now revision happened in 2016. So 2016 the revision happened. So 56 to 60% of India's land is under seismic zone 3, 4, and 5 according to this seismic zonation map. Now this particular picture is of 2002. So after Bhuj earthquake, a great work, people suddenly we came to know, okay, there is nothing like zone 1. So that was removed from zonation map, and then the exclusive work was done by Professor Sudhir K. Jain and CVR Murthy sir, and there are a good team. So here this work comes from IIT Kanpur. So I have specifically written here as 2002 work, because now I'll also take you to 2016 work, and I'll show you the graphs there. So here in this particular, we can see that our India, it lies at the northwestern end of the Indo-Australian plate, which encompasses India and India, Australia, a major portion of the Indian Ocean and other small countries. This plate is colliding against the huge Eurasian plate and going under the Eurasian plate. This process of one tectonic plate getting under another is called subduction. So we are continuously, that our plate is continuously moving towards the Eurasian plate. It's going down under the Eurasian plate. So that's what the fear we have, when it is going down. So we don't know when it will release that stress, and that will definitely cause the earthquake. So it may take few years, or some like IIT professors are saying it may be any time, this is the time, or it may come in, we never know, it may come even after 50 years, 100 years. So, and the right figure is showing that what are the past earthquake, and according to the what were their magnitudes. Now this is 2016, a great work by Sudhir K. Jain sir. So here he has given the how the that region, three main subdivision of Indian subcontinent, namely Peninsular India, Indo-Gangetic Plains, and the Himalayan. So these are the regions here shown in the picture. And now if you see this, magnitude of earthquake. Now this is the latest, I mean not latest, this is also 4 years before, but magnitude 8 earthquake after the Nepal earthquake, that area, it became, so you can see the block, big dot here. So magnitude is 8 and more, and this is how that that particular belt, we can see it is so active. And coming to here, the little zoom, when we do zoom in that particular belt, so we can see here. So you see how this Tethys Himalaya with red color zone, red color, and then Great Himalayas with green color. Then there is this lesser Himalayas and outer Himalayas. So we can see the boundaries and major lithotectonic units of Himalaya, where this is more earthquake prone region. Now, yes, there has been a regular occurrence of great earthquakes in the Himalayas, and currently most of the seismic activity is located south of the main central thrust. The Himalayan frontal thrust is believed to be the likely location of future great earthquakes because of its proximity to the densely populated Indo-Gangetic plains, and this poses a very serious risk for future, and has been a major cause of concern in the scientific and emergency management communities. Then Peninsular India, even though far less active seismically, has also seen some very damaging earthquakes, like Koyna earthquake, Latur, and Bhuj. So mostly I'll be talking about these topics, Latur and Bhuj earthquake. Then it is clear that most parts of the India are prone to earthquake of varying magnitudes and intensity. So these are the past earthquakes, some data only till 2004 only, but we can see the number of deaths and the maximum death. There was 1935 earthquake where 30,000 deaths happened, then Bhuj earthquake 2001, and 13,805 people died, and then Sumatra 10,749 people died there, where the magnitude was 9.3 here. Now, in my work, in my study, I had considered these 5 locations of the country where mostly the rural structures with the brick masonry buildings are there, and where these were affected with the earthquake. So Bhuj, the Chamoli, then Latur, Killari, Uttarkashi, and Assam. So these were the 5 locations I had considered for my study. Sorry. So beautiful comparison, we say that earthquake comes means everything immediately collapse and all damages. But when we see this beautiful comparison by Sudhir K. Jain sir, so here Latur earthquake happened in 1993 and Bhuj in 2001. So I want all of you to see to this point some very, very important points here, that Latur earthquake magnitude was 6.2. and total people died there was 7,635. Okay, they were killed in 52 villages, and the shaking was but time, we can see the time was for Latur, it was 3:53 a.m. local time, means all people were sleeping, and it was a chilly night, very cold night, and shaking of 7 intensity magnitude earthquake. Now earthquake focus was shallow and hence only a small area. So in Latur actually only small area was affected, but with a very high level of shaking intensity. and the housing typology was very vulnerable to seismic shaking. Very vulnerable means easily it can collapse. And the type of buildings were random rubble masonry in mud mortar with heavy roofs. And death toll was quite high, with at least one instance of a village losing 1/3 of its population during the shaking. So this happened. So time also matters, intensity matters, depth of shaking that matters, and the median death rate in the 14 villages sustaining a shaking intensity 9 on the MSK scale was about 20% of the population, which is an indication of extreme seismic vulnerability, extreme seismic vulnerability. Whereas if we come to Bhuj earthquake, its magnitude was 7.7, and it killed 13,805 people. But its time was 8:46 a.m. It was disastrous earthquake, but people were outside because it was a daytime. Most of the people were outside, and the intensity affected a very large area, whereas Latur earthquake, it was comparatively small area. But in Bhuj, the earthquake affected a very large area, and the intensity of shaking ranged up to 10th on the MSK scale. And the construction types, even though far inferior to what the codes required, but still they were significantly better than those in the Latur region. Now, further, the timing of earthquake was more favorable for Bhuj case. So when we compare the median death rate, it was only about 0.2% of the population for villages that sustained a shaking intensity of 9 on the MSK scale. So when we see that construction typology matters, timing of earthquake also matters, and number of death accordingly may vary. Now coming to the fact, we have to see, in fact, I want you to see this fact that India is having 6 lakh to 1 million villages and around 100 smart cities. Okay, it's only 100 smart cities. Now, if we are sitting and listening this lecture, being in smart city, okay, I want you to be aware that, okay, there are 6 lakhs to 1 million villages in our country where such construction is now also happening, and which is not monitored, which is civil engineers are not there, maybe except with few exceptional cases. So just people are bringing bricks and some mortar, they're preparing locally, and then they are constructing those houses. Okay, so my work is basically for brick masonry houses. So here the past earthquakes we have seen, so that number of brick masonry buildings, even though load bearing structures or RC framed infill buildings, they collapsed during these earthquakes. So I want you to give it a thought. 100 smart cities only we are having. So because we are having a comfort of cities, we cannot ignore so many villages what we are having currently in our country, and the number of houses there. So it's a huge responsibilities on the shoulders of civil engineers. So these are the few pictures I kept. Collapsed random rubble construction block village road in Latur, and then there is a building, RC infill building collapsed in Bhuj earthquake. There are many very disturbing pictures, but I did not keep it. So these are few more pictures. And the right side picture, then those people they have constructed their own houses after the earthquake. So right picture is showing that they have again reconstructed their houses. Now challenges. So the Bhuj earthquake of 2001 highlighted a striking disregard for structural design principles and quality of construction. This earthquake was the first instance of an earthquake causing collapse of modern multi-story buildings in India, and it triggered unprecedented awareness among professionals, academics, and the general public. So our major concern is the lack of a professional environment to ensure safety of construction. So this safety of construction is a very important. We have to have civil engineers. Our civil engineer, we have really very few, civil engineers who are trained enough. So we need civil engineers to get the training and get them ready for taking up such challenges. So here are some important points. In order to execute a civil project successfully, one must ensure that the entire chain of those involved in the building industry is doing the right thing. Doing the right thing is very, very important. So here, most of the time, civil projects, except a very big brand projects, most of the small projects we see, there are so many loopholes. Proper monitoring is not happening, or for some time also, if supervisor is not there, there may be some wrong things getting done. So like a good restaurant must ensure hygiene at all stages of preparation, handling and service of food to guarantee it is not infected with bacteria. So it is in the case of building industry. All stages of life cycle of a civil project: conception, design, detailing, construction and commissioning. It must be done right for the project to be successful. And there are three types of challenges that can be faced in this process. So what are the challenges? Again, it comes to the first very important, error of intention. We always say in our life, okay, you have done some wrong thing, but if it is done by mistake, it is okay. But if you have done it intentionally, then it's not a good karma, right? Our intention should be good, or really good. So here, someone intend not to follow the correct practice for whatever reasons. For instance, to save cost by using less building materials, or someone undertakes execution of the project even when one knows that one is not competent to do so. Then there is error of concept. So due to insufficient knowledge, someone unintentionally does not follow the correct practice. For instance, poor concept of engineering mechanics, and in many cases, the person does not know that he does not know. For instance, a design engineer may not know about some aspects of the engineering problem. So that is the ignorance, right? And error of execution. Despite best intentions, errors may happen in execution at any stage of design and construction. So people say that doctors, they save life, they save life of the people, they are doctors, but civil engineer becomes responsible for many lives. They are ultimate doctors. If they don't serve properly, so they can become reason for the many loss of many lives. So in my work, I try to understand behavior of brick masonry building during earthquake, how that brick masonry building behaves. And here I have used applied element method. This study was conducted using applied element method. So it was a Fortran program, and it was my professor, my guide brought it from the Tokyo University. It was a program from Japan. So to understand anything, to understand behavior of brick masonry building, so any structure element, a very basic, I want my students to understand that structure elements undergo three types of, either that member may be facing axial, axial forces might be there. There may be shear or torsion in the member, or there may be a flexure. So these are the our whole analysis mostly rotates about this only: axial, shear or flexure. So there, my study also consists of these things. So when we have seen that how does performance of brick masonry building, during the past earthquake, so we have found that mostly brick masonry fails by vertical crack. That wherever the wall junction is there, so vertical crack happens over there. So that is called as failure at connection. Then there is a shear crack at a shear crack, also called as diagonal cracks, or 45-degree bidirectional cracks in wall panels. And then there is cracks due to in plane movement. So wall moves in a, in plane movement. I'll show in a diagram. And there is a out of plane flexure failure of wall leading to total collapse of the building. So coming to this vertical cracks at wall junctions. So here we can see the connection, connection there, vertical crack happened. This was in Kilari earthquake. Then shear cracks. We can see here there are 5 different types, 5 types of cracks are there. So number one crack, we can see that this crack is the crack of first type, where wall and corner junction, and at the same time it is the crack of it is also going as a shear crack, because the when shaking is happening at the bottom, because of earthquake. So there are this type of cracks, it may lead to shearing of that particular wall panel. And we can see that crack number 2 and 3. Crack number 5 may be because of the settlement, at the ground, due to some settlement, that crack might be there. So such in fact, very beautiful example of how the brick masonry building, behaves or fails during earthquake. So this is crack due to in-plane movement. So when that movement of the wall is along, movement of the earthquake is along the wall, so such cracks happen, that is cracks due to in-plane movement. And this is called as out of plane or flexure failure of wall. So when it is out of plane failure, it leads to the total collapse of the that wall. Now, brick masonry building is a very good example that how that it behaves, that box action happens there. So if you consider a single wall, like I have done the study where only single wall was considered, and load was, suppose the wall number 1 and 3, they are in one direction, 2 and 4 are so if you give the load on single direction, it will easily fail. A single wall panel if you give. But when it is a total room, so brick masonry building, when 4 wall panels are there, they create a very good, that gives a very good strength and stiffness to the building, and it is almost giving the double when compared with the individual wall panels. So box action actually helps in resisting that particular seismic load. Now, for applied element method, how do we understand the bricks? So the brick is actually we consider that, because it's a AEM is a computer program, right? So how we are going to understand? When we go for experimental study, it is very expensive to do. So applied element method was capable to show the failure of the building exactly. So we have done some comparison with applied element method, the wall, that building, and the actual experimental results, and it was giving a great result. So in discretization of this brick masonry, what we do, that you can see here, the gray area is total one single brick. So we divide that brick into some parts, and we assume that those parts are connected with each other with springs, and then those springs carry normal and shear springs, normal behavior and shear behavior, because as I told you at the start of it, that our studies revolve around, what are the stresses generate there, those are the normal and shear springs we have considered here. So that way, our my whole wall and building I have considered. Now here in this study, one of the study I have considered wall of different lengths here. So here height to width ratio, first diagram you can see it is 0.5. Then height to width ratio is 1. The second diagram, generally we this is 1, and then the height to width ratio is 3. Then there is a fourth case, which is 2 meter by 8 meter. This is just for the study aspect ratio. So here this study was done not as a before going for the seismic study. This was done as a displacement control, and then we actually give the displacement, that for this particular load how much it will displace. Itna load diya to kitna displace karega or kaise behave karega. So that's what we see here. So you can see the small building number 1, small first wall here. So it is obviously it is small, so it is going to give a very good resistance, right? Second case 2, it is like our standard wall, you may say. So here shear is predominant here. Second diagram, shear is predominant and diagonal strut is happening here. So this is also giving good resistance. And in third case, because height of the wall is more, so flexure is predominant here. And fourth is definitely flexure is predominant, means flexure is nothing but bending is predominant in this case. So we can see here where aspect ratio 1 means aspect ratio 0.5, it is giving a really good load carrying capacity, number one, case number 1. And then case number 2 where it is showing the good load carrying capacity, and then 3 and 4. Then I have also studied what is that effect. Do you know that we have so many doors and windows in our home? Is it really good to have those many doors and windows? Because nowadays, so it's the fascination is people almost don't keep any wall only. It's all full of glass. So it is actually dangerous. What is Western country following? It may not be good for us. So somewhere especially for a seismic zone, higher seismic zone area. So this study here, I have considered a wall where full masonry is there. So that is case number 1. That is full infill wall. So here there is no opening. Then there is a case 2 where central opening is there of 1.2 meter by 1.2 meter. So that with that opening, and then that is a window opening I kept, and then third opening I have kept here, where opening is at one side only. As per our convenience, we keep the openings. And then there is fourth opening, which is in the middle. So then once this is there, then load is given to these 4 cases, and then we have seen what is the behavior of this particular wall panels. So case number 1 is definitely there is no opening, so it is taking the highest load, so it is more capable. That does not mean that I say that okay, you don't keep doors and windows in your houses. We have to keep, right? As a necessity, we need it. But yes, we need to be careful that how many windows and door openings we are going to give. So case number 1 is the total wall. And then case number 2 where we have kept the central opening, that is a window opening here. And because it is a central opening, for such wall, shear is definitely predominant, and then there is a diagonal strut action happen. But because there is a central opening, so that was really not good. So in that case, the behavior is poor when case number 2, infill wall with central opening. Then case number 3, here the door opening is at one side, that is at one side. So it was giving, so door number 3 and 4 was almost giving good result only. So it is at the center or it is at the one end. It is not very big difference. So it gives a good strength. Comparative, when only compared with the 3 and 4. So that is okay. Now, main concern that rural area, if such buildings are there, how are we going to help those buildings during earthquake? So here I have considered 4 cases. So number 1 case that this is simple wall, okay, this is simple wall with door and windows, and there is no external reinforcement. Okay, so that is case number 1 I have considered. Then case number 2, a wall with window and door and window opening and with vertical reinforcement. So here only vertical bars, external bars these are. So that we have given. And then there is a horizontal reinforcement, already very well established lintel what we provide. So that is horizontal reinforcement. And then case number 4 is vertical and horizontal reinforcement. So these are the 4 cases we have considered for this. And then again we have seen what is the behavior. So here also we have considered these walls with we have yet to go to seismic part. Here we have given displacement control, means where we give the displacement and see the result. So infill wall with no reinforcement is comparatively showing a less strength, load carrying capacity when we see the case number 2, 3, 4. So definitely 4, RC framed infill wall when vertical and horizontal reinforcement is there is giving the ultimate really good strength to the wall, and it is advisable to give reinforcement to such brick masonry buildings. So behavior of such building under earthquake loading. So coming to this part, now here I have considered here 4 types of earthquake. So here northeast earthquake loading also I have considered. So 4 cases have been considered for the study with door and window frame. So these are the 4 cases as I have discussed. So when we have given here acceleration time history for Northeast India earthquake. So here we can see 16.9 seconds earthquake. This was, acceleration time history. And then we see that at 5 seconds, there are few cracks in the wall at the upper panel. This was the case when there is no reinforcement. And then this was the response, the second diagram, roof displacement, that is for the no reinforcement case. And here we see that at the end of what is that response, 16.9 seconds. Then case 2, that is horizontal reinforcement. So when case 1 there was no reinforcement, and case 2 there was only horizontal reinforcement. So initially there was nothing because of horizontal reinforcement. At 5 seconds there were no cracks. So I have captured that point where some cracks were there. At 9 seconds there were some cracks, and those cracks were like, it was closing and opening. So that was there. So it was minor cracks only. And you can see the right side figure, it is showing right extreme figure, that wall with the minor crack at the end of the earthquake. So this is the between down figure, that is roof displacement for case 2, that is horizontal, that its behavior during that particular earthquake. So this is a case of horizontal reinforcement, means it's showing that horizontal reinforcement means even providing of lintel and seal is very important. That should be there. Then behavior of earthquake when vertical reinforcement. Now here only vertical reinforcement is there. There is no horizontal reinforcement. So here in this case, there are slightly higher number of cracks at the end of the 16.9 seconds here. Then coming to case 4, horizontal and vertical reinforcement. So here for this northeast earthquake, so cracks at 8 seconds, if we see here, so there are cracks at the in between pattern where above the door. So there are we can see there are cracks, but there were opening and closing of the gaps, because if we see the right side of the diagram, those cracks which are opened at 8 seconds were closed here at the end of the earthquake. So it was giving a really good resistance when horizontal and vertical reinforcement provided. Now when we collect all the results, so here this was the result for case 1, no external reinforcement, case 2, case 3, case 4. Definitely simple lines we can say that when external reinforcement is not there, so if we go for horizontal and vertical, at least whatever is economical to us, giving horizontal and vertical or both, so we should go for that reinforcement, and that building will be strengthened with this technique. Then I have considered Uttarkashi earthquake. This for this particular Uttarkashi earthquake. So here acceleration time history for Uttarkashi earthquake, here we can see that cracks at 5.5 seconds. So in this case, here no reinforcement. This particular case is with no reinforcement. No reinforcement. Reinforcement is steel. So here there is no reinforcement. So here we see that there is hardly any crack at the 5.5 seconds. But as soon that time is increasing, so at 14 seconds there are big number of cracks here, and 20 seconds you can see the number of cracks. And this earthquake it lasted for more than 36 seconds. So here at the 36 seconds, the whole brick wall you can see the full of cracks here. So behavior of then again the second case. Now let's consider the horizontal reinforcement, and immediately as soon as you consider the horizontal reinforcement, see a wonderful effect over there. So what we can see in the first case, that 14 seconds the cracks were more and aggravated at 20 seconds. So it is showing that at 14 seconds cracks are less in number. So less cracks and minor cracks are there. So this is very good example when we see this. Then Let's consider, go ahead with the case number 3 for the vertical reinforcement. So in vertical reinforcement, we see that at 5.5 seconds and at 14 seconds, there are hardly any cracks. So vertical reinforcement also contributing very well for resisting this. But yes, for 36 seconds, there are a good number of cracks. So there are again that crack means it may be closing and opening of the cracks. So that ultimately it gives us strength also to that. It is an adjustment of the wall and gives us strength to the building. Now case 4 here, both type of reinforcement, okay, horizontal and vertical reinforcement. So here we see cracks at 5.5 seconds, 14 seconds. So number of cracks are reduced here. So we can go for horizontal or vertical reinforcement together or individually. They are giving the good results. So here the little zoom version of how the cracks at 36.1 seconds. So when no reinforcement is there, the left diagram and the both the reinforcement is there. So number of cracks are actually reduced. Right, we cannot totally save our structure, but at least we can save it from getting a big damage and we can save the lives. So that is the main aim of this particular work. So this is the all results put together. Now, this AEM method was developed in Tokyo University and experimental study. Now, this was what I have done, that is study in IIIT Hyderabad. I think only one of its kind started there. But such study in a very good manner with experimental touch was given by Paula at Tokyo University under the guidance of Meguro in Meguro Lab. So it's a very well-known name in earthquake engineering. So here they have used PP band, polypropylene band, to strengthen those. So very good work done by PP band for the strengthening techniques. So here in this, I'll show you this pictures here, PP band. So here we can see these are the polypropylene band, okay, details of the wall with PP band on. So here they construct the brick masonry wall first, and these are the polypropylene band. You know, we actually see such a band. If you remember, if you go to airport, you know, they tie the bags for packing, you know, they tie that. I'm just giving one example. So such kind of band. So that is polypropylene band. So that is a very good example. And then there is this how they are connecting those bands with those brick masonry walls. So they are actually pinning it up. Okay, so first they construct this wall and then they pin it or whatever, nail it, you know. So that's how the wall is fixed here. So these are the connector details. So this is also one beautiful work is being explored in Japan. And this is so we can see here how they are keeping those PP band, covering the whole wall with the PP band, and then actually they are strengthening that masonry structure during this in this seismic prone regions. And then after putting that PP band, they actually plaster it. They plaster it, and then they are testing it. So we can see here. So the same study was also done with applied element method. Here we can see. So right side, it was a non-retrofitted house, means this particular number 1 picture, it does not have any retrofitting. But the picture below, you know, retrofitted house model here, this is totally, it is a strong building. It is having a retrofitting, means polypropylene band se use cover kiya gaya hai. So in this particular case, and these are the for same particular thing here the behavior. Okay, so for this particular model, you can see that when there is no reinforcement, this whole structure, you can see the how it is collapsed. Okay, and when it is experimental study, so for this also AEM, when they have studied the AEM for this particular structure, the comparison, so there are good number of cracks, but it is still showing a good behavior. Now, when they did the shake table study here, the non-retrofitted means where there is no reinforcement, no strengthening of the building. So such a building collapsed in a really, I mean, it was not strong enough to take that load. And then there is this retrofitted model at the end where it is showing a good resistance to the seismic force. So this was the work done in Tokyo, Japan. So I think this is what the work for brick masonry building. And what is the takeaway from this presentation? I want you to, you know, take you to the start of the presentation. Uh, at the end, I have told you about my work in brick masonry area, because as I told you, it was a reminder that there are more than 1 million villages in our country, and just calculate, just random calculation that how many brick masonry buildings will be there, and that too non-engineering, non-engineered means there is no civil engineer to look after it. And what is how we are going to face such a disaster if really earthquake strikes in such scenario. So in this case, how we are going to help in such scenario. So strengthening of building is the number one. First we have to understand how we are going to strengthen our buildings, and that's how we have to start seriously working. At least we should be ready, hopefully, and just when that earthquake never come to us in our lives, but it's our responsibility that we have to strengthen our buildings. So finally, the takeaway from this lecture, yes, I have reminded you that India witnessed rich ancient civilization, and they were much more better than us. Now the what engineering we are seeing, definitely we have in terms of development, we are growing in a really big way, what they were not experiencing. But that time earth was in balance, right? It was in balance. Now what is the responsibility of civil engineers as global leaders? So how we are, civil engineers, we are global leaders, yes, and we are the great doctors if we give our service rightfully, and we follow the code of conduct. So that is our main aim, that we have to follow all the ethical policy, and we have to I mean, corruption is one thing that where we have to be really careful, and we should not fall in that trap, which may cause life loss of human being and or even other beings. So if effect of aspect ratio, where I have considered the different sizes of buildings, and there we have seen how the wall is behaving, how it is behavior means aspect ratio which is small, it is showing shear dominant. Then when the height is bigger, then it is showing the flexure dominant. Then we have considered how the effect of box action in case of brick masonry, how it is actually helping. Then the study of RC framed infill wall during um then RC frame infill wall without opening, and then with opening, and then door at left side and door at the middle of the wall. So these are the this is a case we have studied, and we have seen that when there was a big window opening, it was giving a really less strength to the wall. So actually बहुत बड़ा opening रख के हम उसका stiffness जो है resistance से कम कर लेते हैं. So we have to be careful about कितना door कितना window चाहिए. Not only we should not just go for the aesthetic purpose. Windows are required, but yes, we have to see how many. So in earthquake loading case, then we have seen the how earthquake during the seismic loading, what is happening, how the brick masonry building is behaving when it is the brick masonry without reinforcement, then with horizontal reinforcement, then only vertical reinforcement, and then when we have considered both the reinforcement together. Then provision of reinforcement, then what we have seen, provision of reinforcement actually helps in minimizing the damage to the wall, and it can be used for the retrofitting purpose for the real construction practices. So these are the takeaway from these lectures, and I think there are some questions in chat box. I'll go to that. Thanks for patiently listening to me, and I thank to my friend Dilip also for his suggestions he has given me. So during for my presentation, so let me go to the chat box. Yeah. So Chandan Kumari is asking, my question is that technology nowadays can save our earth exploitation, but due to lack of advertisement of new technologies and education can't play fully role in field. So ma'am, how can we connect and spread this technology to world? And main problem is that our education system is also providing old and not economic construction. So how we can outcome from this problem, and what's the education like in challenge, how to change the scenario? Okay, it's a really good question. So there are, you know, low cost housing. There are which is even sustainable. So good research is going on, and I think advertising, you should meet right people. So you know, we have to, whatever, if you have really good research work, you can publish it, you know, online. Sorry, there are so many good journals, or even open source publishing is there. So you should talk to your professor. I mean, I don't know, you are a student or professional. So in fact, now it's a wonderful time, you know. I've seen so many people, they utilize the Facebook and LinkedIn platforms so well, that whatever doubts you have, if you put there, and you will get the answer, and continuous updates are happening. But yes, only you know, this technology, if you have something, you should definitely try. You have to put those efforts, try to meet the influential people who can help you, and then you will get that help. And yes, this colleges, you know, college, because I'm also part of university, I know that the syllabus, what is going on for years, but at the same time we are also upgrading whatever new technologies are there. So we are taking it into, bringing it into syllabus. And now this through NPTEL IIT giving a lot many courses. There is this Coursera, and there are even foreign universities who are giving the upgraded courses. In fact, now such a time has come, you know, there is nothing like only civil engineering. Now there is we don't call it as only mechanical engineering or only civil engineering. It's all combined, you know, civil engineering with artificial intelligence or smart infrastructure development. So there are so many components coming together. So mostly I tell my civil engineering students also, okay, don't think that you are core civil engineering. Most of the students, you know, they come to and then ask me, madam, core mein job chahiye, core mein job chahiye. Bhaiya, aajkal except side job, there is nothing called like core job. You have to know everything now. Abhi काफी challenging भी है, but at the same time it's a wonderful also, you know, a wonderful period that we have opportunity, we have to learn everything. कि even one should know computer science, कि सिर्फ civil engineering पढ़ के रह गए ऐसे नहीं चलेगा. So हमें थोड़ा ज़्यादा interactive और ज़्यादा लोगों से, there are really many wonderful people here who can help. So you have to approach to the right people, and then you will get the help. Which is the safest place in India where earthquake chances is low or negligible? Okay, mostly in South, you know. So in South, I have stayed in Hyderabad. So we used to do earthquake research center is there, and people used to question us, "Bhai, earthquake Hyderabad to safe zone में है, तो why you want to do earthquake research work here?" So anyway, just telling that mostly, you know, south side is the safest place, but we never know, because once that earthquake, like Bhuja and all, it was never in the earthquake zone area. But then once it is once it is or it hit with the earthquake, and then suddenly that zonation came. So as such, we may say south is safe, but nothing is safe as such, and nothing, we don't have to get worried and get so worried and just move from here to there. So just our intention should be good, and we should do good work, and then we'll be saved. That's what we can say. So, madam, what type of foundation you suggest for earthquake resistant building, whether deep pile foundation or rock foundation, as the wave generated from the epicenter are transmitted to the building to the foundation only? So yes, foundation based on the what is the type of soil there, whatever foundation based on that particular zone we may give, but to resist that earthquake waves from earth to the structure, there is very good research work going on at IIT Delhi. So where they are providing vibration, they are providing isolators at the foundation, so that they are some oblique shape, and with that earthquake waves are not miss that transferring at a very less speed. So it can actually resist that earthquake. So out of there is a question from Dr. S.K. Sharma sir, HOD Acropolis. So out of reinforcement at roof, lintel, sill, plane, jambs and corners, which is the most effective, which is the least effective in resisting earthquake forces? So, sir, as per my study, what I have seen, these lintels, plain jams, everything, I think, for every particular member, I think this overall combination, they are all helpful. Overall as a team, they are actually, they contribute to the resistance of the earthquake. So everything is good. But yes, we have to have the lintels are very important. That's what we have seen, because when the building is shaking like this, so lintel is when it is shaking like this, so lintel will resist the earthquake, that wall will be safe. So that is the most effective, and that is very much important. So then Chandan Kumar is asking one more question. What is PP band? Provide elasticity in structure. So this PP band is, it is, we may not say that it is providing elasticity. Elasticity is a little more, not providing elasticity, but it is holding the brick masonry wall, when that brick is trying to move, that PP band which is pinned in that wall, they're trying to hold the brick masonry wall. Okay, so overall, when 4 walls are packed like this, and then plastering has been done, so when earthquake is moving maybe in whichever direction, so they actually resist. They add the, can't say exactly, they are adding the stiffness and strength. Strength is getting increased to the structure, and they actually they are very effective, those bands. So what kind of, there is one question from Rajesh Singh Dhakar. What kind of bricks have better performance in earthquake? So here, bricks, whatever our traditional bricks, whatever we are using. So bricks, what we have seen, the brick quality at the north side, soil is very rich in North India. So that here bricks are having really good strength, and the soil in the south we see. So whatever local brick is there, they are giving yes, that brick is giving good performance only, our normal bricks. But yes, now fly ash bricks is a good addition, fly ash bricks, because they are lesser in weight. So because in earthquake, the mass, which is the main contributor, because of the building mass, it gets easily cracked and collapsed. So fly ash bricks are also good options, and now different types of bricks are there. Yeah, one more thing I want to say, that confined brick masonry also good option, as given by Sudhir K. Jain sir. So that there is, the bricks, they are interlocking bricks, so that is also, it gives a good resistance to that. India PP band is one question is there. India PP band is available. Yes, we can. In fact, if you want and if you have a lab facility, so PP band is nothing but I told you now where for in airport you see that they tie the bag with that band. You know that stiff plastic. It's actually polypropylene bag, but it's a similar band only. So if we want to do that experiment, we can do here. If one should have a shake-table study and we can see the resistance. So it's available and we can do here. Then what type of foundation is most suitable for building in earthquake prone zone? So foundation, whichever is, you know, it's we for this particular zone, we should have this particular foundation. Actually, how do we design foundation? You know, based on the soil conditions, requirement of the building. And so as such, I cannot say what is the particular type of foundation only will, you know, resist the earthquake. So we have to have whatever foundation we are considering based on that particular region. So that designer should take that decision. Concrete block use is better than brick. Yes, it is definitely it's showing a good result only brick. But you know, in rural area you cannot take the concrete blocks. Let's check the reality. So in when I say 1 million rural area is there, villages are there. So how many buildings, how many concrete blocks, and then if concrete blocks we are using, how much pollution we are doing. So that is also we need to see. So then प्रशांत is asking one question, किसी के घर में अनेक खिड़की और दरवाजे हैं तो क्या वो भूकंप से टूटेगा या बचेगा? सो अगर बहुत सारे खिड़की और दरवाजे हैं तो स्टडी से यही देखा गया है कि बहुत ज्यादा खिड़की और दरवाजे अगर है तो उसकी जो अल्टीमेट स्ट्रेंथ होता है ना, जिसका जो स्टिफनेस होता है, स्ट्रेंथ होता है, वो कम हो जाता है. सो इट कैन बी यू नो लिटिल डेंजरस, बट आपको उतना डरने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आपके प्रॉपर रेनफोर्समेंट जो होता है ना, अंदर जो लिंटल है वगैरह है, आपका बिल्डिंग अभी किस तरह का है वो भी इम्पोर्टेंट है. और अगर आपका बिल्डिंग सिर्फ आपके बिल्डिंग में अगर आपका आरसी इनफिल बिल्डिंग है, अगर कुछ फ्लोरी का बिल्डिंग है, तो आपको देखना है कि क्या आपके बिल्डिंग में शेयर वॉल है कि नहीं. अगर शेयर वॉल है तो ठीक है, अगर नहीं है और सिर्फ कॉलम पे आपकी बिल्डिंग खड़ी है जो कि यू नो इज कॉल्ड एज व्हाट डू वी से, sorry, I just missed that word. So only columns are there, then in that case, you know, that building can easily collapse if earthquake is there. So that we need to see that shear wall should be there in that particular building, and a proper designer ने design की है वो. Jute fiber is used to tie wall in village is good. Is it a question or is it a suggestion? I don't know. But if you belong to village area and if you are seeing that jute fiber is good for that, so anyway, I did not come to this. But maybe I think you are trying to say that in spite of polypropylene band or reinforcement, if jute fiber we use, yeah, I think that may be a good thing only. So but we have to see that during, you know, rains, then it should not get degraded, no, because fiber, if it is a jute fiber, it may get degraded, or if you are doing some painting and I don't know, but that should be strong enough. Like polypropylene band, it will not degrade during the time. But so we need to see this. Then there is one, Chandan Kumar is third year student, ma'am, but education have to change there. Okay, beta, education is changing and there are good changes happening. So you have to be positive, please. And please understand that there is very, very good demand of civil engineers in our country. You have to be really positive, and you know, you should be ready to work. You may work on the site or whatever choice. So once you start do a really good internships and get good experience, our students are getting placed with really, you know, good package and getting good exposure. Don't say no to any job, please. When you are getting placed, just take that job with some experience. You will see that whatever education you have taken, it's not you know, waste. It is definitely going to connect you, because you know, it's a basic. Like Newton said that, he discovered the gravitational law when apple fell down. So why it fell down? So he understood the gravitational law. So core civil engineering, what you are studying, it cannot be changed because it is dealing with the mechanics, mechanics of solid, structural analysis. This is going to be there. This is a basic what we have studied. So this we cannot study. This study you how to compulsory go through it. Apart from that, if you want to study something else, yes, then you take the extra courses, or there are number of courses, and this now technology is providing really good support to us to learn more things. Then Jignesh is asking, can we use lightweight concrete blocks, getting it reinforced instead of using brick masonry? Will it be beneficial to us? Yes, we can do this, but again, my topic is actually for rural area, no? So will it be, will it be possible in rural area? So this is also a very good. You can simply, if you are a student, you can just do it as a project and check how it gives the result. So definitely it will be helpful to us. Then some repetitive questions. How can we recognize the kind of seismic sources are working underground, like vibrator tools, explosions, earthquake? Yes. So there is study, in IIT Delhi, good study has been done where they are doing, sensors are there. So you select some area and then you actually see the vibration, you measure the vibrations. So sensors are kept and then you check, okay, here in this particular region that earth is shaking. So if that area is something is happening, so it easily catches the sensors. And definitely the people who are working, that they are all authorities and they got the permission, they then only they can work. So but now the people are more they want to do big projects, big targets, they want to achieve, and so people are actually ignoring, this is by knowing, miss, everybody knows what is the negative thing out of it, but still people are exploring more on it, and they are purposely, so much of digging and exploring, this work is happening. So we are actually spoiling our earth.
Ma'am, there are many questions, so I think due to the time limit, we can stop the question session here. I have informed the participants to please send their unanswered queries to email ID of our technical officer. We will get them
Sure.
answered
Sure.
through you, madam.
Sure,
So it was
Thank
a
you.
wonderful lecture, ma'am. Now I hand over to Mr. Sharad Nayak Saab to please present the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Pradhiman sir. Thank you, Archana ma'am.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful session. So now complete formalities of the thanks. Thank you, sir. Respected Dr. Archana Dongre ma'am, head of the department, the North Cap University, Gurgaon, Haryana, all dignitaries and dear participants. I thank you, Acropolis Institute of Technology and Research, Indore, for giving me the opportunity to express my gratitude on this special day. On behalf of the Department of Civil Engineering, Acropolis, I express my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Archana ma'am. She enlightens us about earthquake effects on old and masonry buildings. She also explained about masonry building and structure health monitoring concept. Really excellent topic, and she was cover and focus on how civil engineering support and involve for development of our rural Indian and emphasize many contents like Indian witness rich ancient civilization, responsibility of civil engineering as global leaders. The fact of aspects ratio shows laser and aspect ratio gives good strength, whereas if aspect ratio increase, strength gets decreased. For aspect ratio of 0.5, it is shear dominant, whereas for aspect ratio of 1, it is shear dominant with less bending, whereas for aspect ratio of 2, more of bending and less of shear behavior observed, and for aspect ratio of 4, it is dominant in bending. Many more in earthquake loading case, permanent deformation of the RC infill wall with no reinforcement was observed for the maximum acceleration which get reduced with each case of horizontal reinforcement, vertical reinforcement, and both reinforcement considered together. Provision of reinforcement actually helps in minimizing damage to the wall and therefore can be used for retrofitting purpose of the real construction practices. I would like to thank our association partner Wonder Cement Limited. Also, I would like to thanks to all the dear participants, organizing team, social media team, our supporting teachers and staff members. Finally, I once again thanks to all participants for attending and staying with us in series and making this conference a success. कहते हैं क्या फर्क पड़ता है असल में हम कैसे हैं, कहते हैं क्या फर्क पड़ता है असल में हम कैसे हैं, जिसने जैसी राय बना ली उसके लिए हम वैसे हैं। मुस्कुराकर चलते रहिए और खुश रहिए। तो हम कल फिर मिल रहे हैं on day 6 Sunday, same way on the same place. Thank you to all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any mistake, anything, something done from my side, kindly forgive me. And I'm really thankful to all of you for giving me this opportunity for presenting. Thank you, sir.
No, ma'am,
Thank you.
it was excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you. We will